I live on a hill overlooking a 40-acre field. Years ago, a farmer, or maybe a cattle rancher here in South Mississippi, cleared this 40 acres, and now there are several homes on it, and I estimate about 15 people live in what was this farmer's 40-acre field. This is a rural area. It is not overcrowded. 15 people inside a 40-acre field comes to 240 people per square mile. 240 people per square mile is roughly the population density where I live. Roughly. This is a ballpark figure. It's probably much less than that. But let's use this figure of 240 people per square mile, because if that was the example, if that was typical, the whole world could live as I do, spread out with a lot of space. Now you can hear the neighbor's dog barking. You can't always hear the neighbor's truck. You can't hear the neighbor slam a door, but you can see across the field the neighbor's leaving in his red truck. We're not elbow to elbow here. We have room. There's plenty of open sky. How much land, how many square miles would be required on this earth for everybody to live as I do? Well, 6.6 billion people. How many square miles of land would be required? Now, all these square miles do not have to be farmland, because homes can be put in areas that are not prime agricultural land. Homes can even be put on mountainsides. Wouldn't you hate to live in the mountains? A lot of people choose to live in Phoenix, Arizona, a place that's too dry, but water is brought in. Resources can be brought in and make a formerly uninhabitable place habitable. Oh, but there's a shortage of water. Well, there's no shortage of water. There's no shortage of water. Rain falls on the planet continually, and most of that rain evaporates or runs into the creeks, into the oceans. Some of that water seeps into the ground and feeds aquifers that carry pure water underground for miles and miles, usually toward the oceans. There's plenty of water. There's not plenty of water in every spot, but on the average there's plenty of water. Just as there is overcrowding in certain areas, but there are a lot of areas that are sparsely inhabited. How many square miles would be needed? Well, if the United States is roughly 2,000 miles by 1,000 miles, it's probably bigger than that. That comes to 2 million square miles. It's really more than that, but this is a ballpark figure. How many land areas would be required of the present population so that everybody could live like I do? 15 people per 40 acres. Do we have enough land? Yes, we do. I've done the rough calculations. Yes, we have that much land and more so. If the people on this planet were spread out evenly, the countryside would be less populous. The density would be less than where I live. There would be fewer than 15 people per 40 acre. So we're not overpopulated. Moving on to another topic raised by your hero, Mr. Bartlett. By the way, I wish he would have no children, and I wish he would have no grandchildren. I wish that when he croaks, that would be the end of his thinking. But Mr. Bartlett says that overpopulation causes poverty, and overpopulation causes pollution. Well, we don't have a pollution problem. We are not overpopulated, and in fact, population does not cause poverty. Did the United States become impoverished when we grew from 100 million to 200 million to 300 million? Did we become more impoverished? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. So you can't say that population causes poverty by virtue of the fact that we all have less resources. We don't have less resources. We have an abundance of untapped resources. We have resources yet to be discovered. These resources will never be discovered and will never be put to use if we rely on state planners. I'm not against state planners. I'm not against the federal government. But individuals with initiative are the ones who have created and devised and invented our modern conveniences that make our life a lot easier than it was in the past. Okay, so what if the end is near? What if the end is near? What if the population is going to double and we are the bacteria in the bottle, and suddenly we will occupy the entire bottle? First of all, if that's the case, and it's not, what are you going to do about it? What is Mr. Bartlett going to do about it? What are the state planners, the federal government, or the world government going to do about it? They're not going to do anything about it. What Mr. Bartlett is going to do is put it into your head that you should limit your birth rate here in the West. In the West, we already have a very low birth rate. We are not overpopulating the planet in the United States or in Europe. The so-called third world countries have a faster, larger birth rate, but they also die from diseases and calamities. But even if Bartlett is true, there ain't nothing you or Bartlett or anybody can do to alter the birth rate of the world. Get that through your head. Nothing you can do. The only thing that will happen as a consequence of your believing this nonsense is that you will feel that you personally should not have any children, or you should not have more than 2 children. So what? What do I care if you have only 2 children? Go right ahead and have only 2 children.